And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. That's right. It's our second annual Attack of the Killer Podcast Movie Awards. What?
Second annual?
Yeah.
Oh.
Have we done this more than twice?
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you really asking?
It's the third annual. No?
You should have looked this up.
It's the annual Attack of the Killer Podcast Awards right here on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Yay.
Hello and welcome to the anal episode.
Annual.
Annual
Bad at spelling. I know.
of Attack of the Killer Podcast Movie Awards. We do this every year where we count down our top 10 favorite films of that year. And what year is it? Well, 2019. I am your MC for this festivities, Insane Mike. And boy, do we have a great show for you tonight. But first, some little housekeeping here. Do you know what Attack of the Killer Podcast is, really? Well, I'm going to tell you. What we are is we're a horror movie podcast where a group of friends, we get together and we talk about movies. But not just any movies, but horror movies within a particular topic. Now, the award show is a little bit different than how we usually do it. We usually talk maybe 2 or 3 films and just, films within a particular topic. But the award ceremony is different because we're going to be talking about a lot of freaking movies. And because of that, we kind of speak openly and freely, so there may be spoilers. Now, if you have just now stumbled onto Attack of the Killer Podcast for the first time, you can hear us along with many other wonderful podcasts on our very own podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. 17 shows and growing. It's been a awesome ride with a lot of great shows and a lot of great friends that we've met along the way. So check out all the shows at the Prescribed Films Podcast Network at thepfpn.com. And this award show, there's a lot of money that goes into these award shows. You got the lights, you got the song, you got the song and dance numbers, yeah, the goodie bags,
the limo ride.
That's right, the red carpet,
the tux.
Yep. So, get Neil.
Got to make sure the carpet matches the drapes too.
Making sure Neil Patrick Harris shows up. So. It costs a lot of money, so you can help support us by going to our Patreon. That's right, we have a Patreon. And so if you go to Patreon, AOTKP, and check it out, there's different tiers, and you can get a lot of great, cool stuff with your money. Like Insane Mike's 1 minute top 10 list, bonus episodes. You also can get special video updates from all the different crew members here at Attack of the Killer Podcast.
2 weekly videos.
2 weekly videos. And podcasts every week. Not this every other week crap like the normal show. So go to Patreon, AOTKP, and pick your tier, choose what goodies you want, and become a Patreon supporter now. Also, this award ceremony wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for our sponsor, Shudder.
Woo!
Shudder is an amazing online streaming service that you can, for horror fans, you can tons of cool movies and shows, and they just had another Joe Bob special that I haven't had a chance to watch yet. So excited, I can't wait to watch it. I hear that, what's her face?
Oh.
Reenacts the antler scene from Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
Is she wearing a shirt?
They cover her with her nipples with little reindeer
So why would they bother? It's on Shudder.
because she tried to get it, but Shudder would not allow it.
What were the movies they showed?
First
Black
one,
Christmas.
what's that?
Black Christmas, the original.
Jack Frost, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
2 out of the 3 of those movies have boobs in them.
Yep.
And yet she couldn't... Okay, whatever, Shudder.
I know.
That doesn't make any sense. But we love Shudder anyway, so...
Yes.
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Why are you complaining?
If you haven't signed up for Shudder yet, I'll tell you what. I'm going to hook you up with your first month for free. So if you go to Shudder, you put in our promo code AOTKP, and you can check it out for a month for free. But I'm telling you, you're going to get hooked. You're going to stick with it, and your life will be better for it. So go now. So now back to the award show. And it's time to introduce you to the award show people.
Co-hosts.
Presenters.
There you go.
He has won 4 AVN awards for DVDA. Tad good, everybody.
A lot of
Thank you,
initials in there.
Yeah, I thank my parents and my wife, who weren't in my videos. Yeah.
But Buddy made an appearance the other day. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
This guy just won Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor in the Vincent Price Arnold Schwarzenegger buddy cop film where he played both roles. Andy Wassum, everybody. Let's roll the clip.
Yes. Oh, let's see. What cop movie could I rip off right now?
I want to hear Vincent Price do the Danny Glover line. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Okay, Vincent Price doing. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Now we see why you won.
Yep.
Yeah, I figured. What does Riggs say that Arnold could do? Do you really want to jump? Let's do it, asshole. Let's do it right now. There you go.
Bravo.
And lastly, winner of Best Fluffer, Jason.
Hey! I like things fluffy. Oh, gosh. Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening to our fun little podcast.
This is already going off the
Yeah,
rails.
it's so off the rails.
Yeah.
This is what happens when I don't make notes.
Oh, gosh.
Trying something different this time.
Clearly working
good
out.
idea on the biggest episode of the year.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like any traditional episode, and because of that, we're not going to be doing what we watched, because
Guess what?
this is what we've been watching.
This is it.
But I kind of want to start off with just seeing what everybody's thoughts are on this year in horror. What did everybody think of 2019's horror selection overall? Jason?
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's great every year. But I don't know. I'm
the boy who screamed awesome.
I know. I always feel like the biggest cheerleader. But I say
Literally the biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, that's a fat joke, and I am just going to move on
It's a
past
tall
it.
joke.
A tall joke.
Oh, okay. Tall fat joke. Got it. But I say, hey, that's not true to anyone who says horror not as good, because it's just as good as it's been. I think we're in a renaissance. The last few years have been awesome. We got tons and tons and tons of awesome new horror movies, and maybe more theatrical than the last. I think it's great. I love it. And I think there's even more like television too in the horror. A lot of more horror going everywhere. It's awesome. Awesome.
Counterpoint?
It stinks.
Come on, that's bull.
I do feel like I didn't love this year's crop as much as
I
last.
knew you were going to say that.
But I do feel like the highs are very high. I felt like there was a big gap this year for me. So I felt like my top probably 7 or 8 are very, very. I loved them, and then after that, like, I still obviously like my top 10, but it I had a hard time sort of picking at the bottom where I felt like anything was necessarily worthy. I don't know. I don't want to complain about it because there was a lot of good stuff I saw, but it just wasn't. There was some that I felt like I watched a lot of stuff that wasn't great this year. I guess that comes in quantity too. The more you watch, the more crap you're going to watch, and the more good stuff you're going to watch. But I felt like, yeah.
I felt exactly the same though. My 1 through 7, bam, nailed it. It was easy.
Yeah.
With that 8, 9, and 10, I could put in. Yeah, took a minute, but yeah, good stuff. Andy, you watch new things only because we make you. What do you?
No, I made it to the theater a lot more this year, and you guys are dicks. I wrote a freaking feature script. I work 11-hour days. I work out like a freaking motherfucker, and I do the impressions for you on command. You guys are still flipping me shit.
I think
you're the new
stuff
guy,
we're flipping
so
shit about is that you tend to watch laser discs and fucking VHS tapes more than
yes.
new stuff. So we're not saying that you are a bad horror fan. We're saying that you tend to
I'm an
revel.
old school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's your thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I do like to watch the classics. I mean, realize this isn't like what we watch sort of thing, but I've been diving into like Fulci and watching City of the Living Dead or Gates of Hell, whatever you want to call it, and I just been doing a lot of that. But this year, I thought that I agree with Tad. The highs are really high. I think this year it had its disappointments it had stuff that I was really excited for, and it kind of let me down. But I think a lot of the what I was really impressed with this year was like some of the reality-based horror, and I'll get into that once we get to get into my list. But the true story stuff I thought that was presented was really good. That's just my opinion. So
I kind of feel like this year, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I know Jason will. I feel like it has been more quality over quantity this year. I kind of feel like that. I don't know. And maybe in years past we've really scraped the bottom of the barrel to try to have a big enough list. But it feels like this year's list that we've compiled feels smaller than it has in the past, but with higher quality films though overall.
Yeah, I think you're sort of saying what I said in probably a more eloquent way because like
That's never happened before.
That's weird.
But you're right. Like going through the list, like I looked at what I watched, how many I watched last year. I watched less, but I felt like I watched more, and it's probably because I had to trudge through some not quality stuff. But like I said, the stuff that I have at the top of my list was so damn good. Like I'm very excited to, sorry listeners, this episode is gonna suck, but next episode, no. But no, my top of my list, I'm very excited about. Like I love these movies, and maybe it's it is like you said, quality over quantity. So
yeah, I mean, do we have a running total of how many films overall are on the list, Jason?
Yeah, I have to get rid of some of these negative spaces. But
don't worry about it. But I just feel like if it wasn't for Into the Dark, like I mean, Into the Dark alone gave us 12. Gave us 12
you're
movies.
right, 12. Yeah.
So, he's doing it. He's doing the numbers. So it just and again. Not that our list is probably anywhere close to being everything that came out this year.
No, it definitely is not.
Yeah, because I was watching stuff and then adding to it as I watched it quite often, and it's just impossible to do that,
Yeah. But I'm sorry, I'm watching him do that.
I was looking at trying something different this year, and I'm sort of glad I didn't follow all the way through with it, because I found that Rotten Tomatoes does a thing where they list their top, like, 20 top rated movies according to the Rotten Tomatoes, and I got through, like, the top, like, 10 or something of them, but you can't, if you only watch what critics like, you're going to be pretty disappointed, because there's some on that list that I was like, this is top of the list, where stuff that wasn't on the list I absolutely loved. So to me, it was an interesting experiment, and sort of showed me that it's, it proved to me, at least for my taste, that it's not necessarily the top rated stuff that's going to appeal to me, but I found some gems in there too. And
So our list this year was of 96 films.
That comprised our list.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Last year our list was 101. So
Yeah.
5
not
movies.
too much.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty much the same.
Okay. All right.
Maybe I can finish the list by next episode.
And then your list will change, right?
Yes.
We'll have to start over.
I'm
Okay.
watching one right now as we're recording, actually.
Jesus.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
I love it
Believe
though.
it.
You've been going to town. It's been awesome.
Do we want to share those numbers?
Oh. But yeah, Tad wins this year,
Tina almost got me, though, and she's not even recording.
and she was trying, trust me.
She's probably getting pissed every time she logged in.
Yeah,
I had 2 more on
That's
there.
true. She really was.
I'm probably dead last again, ain't I?
You by just a lot.
If I could have fit one more in, I would have tripled your number.
So Tad got 65 out of 96 films. 65, that's pretty good. I got 53. Mike got 3rd place, so you still get a medal. Woo! With 33. And Dustin, who sadly isn't going to be here this year,
That sucks.
he got 31, and then Andy 23.
But I still want to hear Dustin's list. So, like, you had the
I know.
idea of maybe.
I know,
Yeah,
we're
toss
hoping
them
he'll
Maybe-
record his list, and we can insert it later.
This episode.
Or, yeah, make his a bonus or something. We're going to get his list, gosh dang it.
Yeah.
Because his is always so far different.
I should
Right.
get to ours.
I know. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of ours, let's get into it.
Oh my gosh.
Starting off
Number 10.
Starting off with number 10. So, Andy, what is your 10th favorite film of 2019?
My 10th favorite film of 2019, and even though it's reality based, but it doesn't make it like less horrifying, and it's actually quite long. It was the series Chernobyl.
Oh, he went with a TV, breaking the rules right off the bat.
Yeah, it was on the list. It was on the list.
I agree with you, though, man. Chernobyl is freaking amazing.
Just Jared Harris's performance with Stellan Skarsgård. Their chemistry was just totally awesome. And it just goes to show what how your ego can like totally screw you over, and how many people basically suffered and died for this. And the makeup and the special effects that they did for like these firefighters and these people that worked at this nuclear reactor plant
Unreal.
is just, oh god, it's just so nasty, and you know that this stuff actually happened. It was actually really informative too. I mean,
Yeah.
I recommend anybody watch this. It's like here the Soviet Union was at the height of the Cold War, and they didn't they downplayed the seriousness of what was going on because they didn't want to look weak, and they suffered for that too. Because they did not get a cap on this thing like right away, which is what they needed to. And, a lot of, a lot of birth defects, a lot of kids looking like they came out of the Mos Eisley Cantina, just really gnarly looking. it's just a really and the production value of this is like insanely good, dude.
For real.
It just looks really good. This, they showed what happened to the firefighters that came there to put out the fire from the reactor, and they're picking up chunks of shit and they don't know what it is, and 5 minutes later, like their hands like ready to melt off, and this guy had gloves on too. I mean, it's because it's so radioactive, and
Just terrifying, that invisible killer,
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe next year you'll have the Russian version that they're doing to sort of, or is it Russian or whichever version? There's the country that is depicted in the movie. They're doing their own to sort of, yeah, they're going to make their own version that sort of questions or goes against the American version because they feel like it's inaccurately depicting what happened. And
well, I mean, there's this one scene that really sticks out in my head because these three divers had to go down there where like the water was leaking from the reactor, and they had to go down there. I can't quite remember. It's been a couple of months since I've seen this, but they had to go down there, and the radiation was just affecting their equipment, and it's just like they can't. It was turning their flashlights off. I mean, it was just, so they're down there, they can't see, and now they can't see to get out. So, just really, really spooky stuff, and all this stuff supposedly happened, maybe the Ukraine people will disagree, but, yeah, I recommend anybody watch this. It's really informative, and then it's really kind of scary as hell. And plus, Stellan Skarsgård and Jared Harris's chemistry, and just how their relationship evolves through the show, because they hated each other. Because one was just like a very Stellan Skarsgård's character. He was very political and very country oriented. Just like this and this and this, but Jared Harris, he's like the scientist. It's like, look, you really need to do something about this. Oh, it's nothing, blah, 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 blah. And he threatens to say another word and I'll throw you out of the helicopter. And, and since they worked on trying to get a cap on this thing, they both got cancer eventually. And they became like really good friends. And they said, enough of this, bureaucratic shit. We really need to help, get this thing fixed or we're screwed. So, yeah,
the score is so haunting.
Oh
my
yeah,
gosh.
it's by the same woman that did the Joker. Like I've listened to some of the score. I have not seen this, but it's on my list to watch. Like now that we've got the movies mostly out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I don't consider this like a. It's a series. It's not like a season of television. It's kind of like
a mini-series, right?
Series.
Yeah, I classify it like as like when It was on television or Salem's Lot and blah blah blah.
Almost like a long movie.
And incredibly cinematic. It's definitely.
It's done really really well.
I got to change my list now. Damn it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's been shown like years later. Like they went down there and they've got like what are those that read radio, like Geiger counters, I believe.
Yep.
And they go to the hospital where like the firefighters had to take off all their clothes, and they're still in the same pile that was there like in 1986, and this Geiger counter up against these, it's been there for over 30 years. This Geiger counter is going ape shit, and it's still reading these incredibly high levels of radiation. And I think all the firefighters, that went there to put out that fire, they died within 2 weeks. I mean, it was that radioactive. But yeah, very, very informative, very, very scary, and and all the more scary because it's real and it really happened. My number 10, Chernobyl.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I need to check it out. Where does it show? What's it on?
HBO.
HBO.
Yeah, HBO.
So, Jason, what's your number 10?
My number 10. I gonna go with Starfish.
Nice.
So you started to tell me about this movie and instantly turned me off. So.
Right? It's not a movie for you. I don't. You won't like it. It's well, why? Because I said art house. Is that why? Yeah. See. Well. Here's the tag. There's the log line. A unique, intimate portrayal of a girl grieving for the loss of her best friend, which just happens to take place on the day the world ends.
That is not too bad.
Right.
Yeah, I thought about this one when Andy was talking about the man who killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot, where it's definitely like a character study.
Absolutely. It's really on this one girl. It's her movie, and it follows this main girl around, who's played by Virginia Gardner. She was in the Halloween remake.
I didn't even put that together. I was like,
I didn't either till I was just looking it up a couple minutes ago. She looked familiar, but I'm like, gosh, who the heck is this? Yeah, it's A24 like. Oh man, it's beautiful. The cinematography is amazing. It's the atmosphere. It's so artistic. It's it's wonderful. And it's cool, and the overall message is really, I think, great. I don't know. It's on Hulu. And I freaking loved it, man.
I watched this one last night.
Well, you're cooler than these other two guys. I know that.
I messaged you.
You did. I
questions, and we'll talk about it off here because everything that I asked you about is like major spoilers, and not that Mike's gonna watch, but Andy might enjoy it, or some of our viewers might want to watch it without having major plot points ruined. So we'll talk about it, without recording, but I thought it was, some of the scenes and stuff were just so gorgeous and really well done and really cool, and I dug the tone. It's like when you told me about it and you're like, oh, this is probably like something you'd really enjoy. You were right, like this is my kind of
I was like, you're the only one I know who else in the world that would like this. Yeah. Oh, and the score is so beautiful. I instantly went out and got that, and
Nikki watched it with me, and she was like, when we finished, she's like, man, can we like have a palate cleanser or something that's not so damn sad? Like, I'm sad now.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, when a movie like makes you have feelings regardless, whether you're happy at the end or sad, like if it has an effect on you, to me, that says something about it.
Yeah, it is a melancholy movie for sure. But it's so beautiful and so well done, and it's all written and directed by this one dude. It's never really done anything before, really. And it's wonderful. Starfish on Hulu, my number 10.
Woo!
What makes it horror?
Well, it isn't. Okay, but it is. How do I
I had this at my like 10ish 11 spot after watching it last night, but I was sort of questioning whether it was because it was so fresh and I really enjoyed it. But my main concern was that, one, the horror element of it, like there are some monsters in it.
Absolutely.
There's for sure some really big monsters, and we talked a little bit about it. I don't know if it's on just the bonus or we talked about it a little earlier, but the idea of
real life
horror, like facing your own feelings, facing your own demons, dealing with real life tragedy.
Some real heavy tragedy in this.
Right. So, that to me is horrific.
But there are literal monsters too.
Yeah, big ass, cool ass monsters.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so that's all you're,
Whether it's in her mind or not, this world of hers has monsters in it.
Right.
Fair enough.
So, it's cool.
a little too open for interpretation for me at times, because I'm like, am I confused? Or that's why I was asking you questions over Messenger, because I'm like,
Yeah.
am I a dummy? Like, Nikki's asking me questions, and I'm like, I can't even bullshit and pretend I know what.
And that's why I like this movie. It's A24 qualities that I know scares Mike away, and I mean, I'd love to. I already know what you'd say, but I'd love to hear what you think.
Hey, I'm really looking forward to that new A24 Adam Sandler movie.
Crazy, right? Adam Sandler. A24.
Tad, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is one that just entered my top 10 after looking back through the list, and sort of it still sort of had some effect on me, residual effect after watching it maybe a few weeks ago. And it is a movie called The Perfection.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by Richard Shepard. This one played, I think, at Fantastic Fest, and then Netflix saw it there, snagged it up, and released it this summer. This stars Allison Williams from Get Out, and she sort of plays the lead, and Steven Weber plays a real creep in this one.
Oh,
And
nice.
I almost don't recognize him because he's aged quite a bit, but he's human, and they dress him up to look almost unrecognizable. Some great performances. This one's really cool. It made me think of it's like America's take on a foreign film, foreign revenge film. Basically about this musician who she was playing at the top of level, like at the top of the most prestigious, music school of all time, and under the most celebrated violinist of all time. Her mom gets sick. She has to take care of him. She comes back after her mom passes away and meets the new protege, who's much younger than her. They hit it off right away, and then some really bad shit happens, and then some more bad shit happens, and there's a lot of fucking crazy twists, and it had me guessing. I thought
all the
right
way.
right when shit started happening, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going, and I dig it, and then it
Nope.
completely took a 90-degree turn. I'm like, all right, we're going this way now, and then another 90 degrees, and I'm like, where the fuck are we going now? And this is a Netflix movie? Like, whoa, hey, good for Netflix for picking this one up. I remember when it came out, I saw Allison Williams doing the press, on late night shows and stuff, and they were very secretive about the plot line.
Yeah.
And for good reason, because I'm not going to say much any more than I've said as far as the story goes, because you really need to just watch it and check it out. But this one has a lot of gross, gooey stuff. It has a lot of just wild, crazy, what the fuck moments. Well done, really cool, and cool score, cool cinematography, cool set design, everything about it. I dug it. Good performances. The perfection, really cool.
I watched it for a second time this weekend, and it's so good. It's so freaking good. And Netflix, man.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
It's right there.
Yeah. Netflix, and don't chill, because you're not going to chill during this one.
No, you are not. You're in for a ride.
Yeah, don't play this one if you're trying to Netflix and chill, because it's going to turn your day around. She is going to get out of there.
Yep.
Well, for me, my number 10, and the number 10 slot is probably the one slot for me that was like, do I pick this one? Do I put this one here? So it tittered back and forth. And looking at my entire list now, I feel like 90% of my list is also going to be more personal. Like the scenario.
I would hope so.
Well, I'm saying like the scenario of watching the movie maybe comes into play, that kind of stuff. A lot
more than the merits of the film itself.
Maybe. If you look at my list, most of these are the ones that I saw in theaters.
Also cool.
So, and I've learned now that I do enjoy a movie way, way more watching it in the theater than watching it home by myself on TV. So. But my number 10 is the Child's Play redo.
Yeah.
I love the concept of what they did with Chucky, turning him into this evil AI doll instead of just like a possessed.
Yes.
Cool
idea.
Toy. Cool idea, because so much cool things to explore with that. The ability to control the apartment by turning the lights on and off, locking the doors, all that kind of stuff. Brilliant concept, in my opinion. The age-old joke of, hey, he's just a doll, why not just kick him? So,
yeah, and on paper, when they announced this and sort of said what they were doing, everybody groaned and said, what a awful idea. Are you kidding? This sucks. This is dumb. And it could have been if it was in the wrong hands or done improperly, it's pretty risky. They could have been really bad.
Yeah.
But I felt like they took that and ran with it and made it believable, which is hard to do. And kudos to them.
Yeah, very much so. Great cast.
Great cast.
Just don't let Alex Vincent know that you liked it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I liked Mark Hamill doing the voice. He was great.
Yeah, I thought he did a real good job.
Yeah. The effects were good. So, I don't know.
And Aubrey Plaza is fucking awesome.
Always.
In a serious straight role. It was
As a
great.
mom, how weird is that?
It was cool. She
Pulled
was
it off
good.
pretty well, I thought.
Me too.
You'd think you wouldn't allow children to be within so many miles of Aubrey Plaza, but she did a great job as a mom.
Everyone liked it? That's good.
Cool.
I wish my friends had moms that look like that growing up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's Unified on.
Wow, that's
That's cool.
awesome. Because I've met some folks that really didn't like it.
Well, actually, I have a surprise. Alex Vincent is on the phone, and what do you think?
Not unanimous.
But, of course, typically, short story time when Blake asked him about it at Halloween-a-Palooza, it did not end well for Blake.
That makes me so happy.
His one interaction with Alex Vincent, Blake is a very big Child's Play fan, and was just making small talk and asked him what he thought, and he was like, I don't want to talk about that or fucking Star Wars, so leave me alone.
Oh, shit. What's Alex Vincent's beef with Star Wars?
I don't know. He probably just gets a lot of nerds that want to talk about it, and or he had been warned about Blake because apparently Blake and Brian O'Halloran talked for 2 hours, yelling back and forth at each other from the front and back seat of Nikki's car a few years ago. So maybe they know each other and was like, if you run into this Blake guy, don't talk Star Wars with him.
Wow. Oh, Blake. You silly goose.
Damn, that's
All right.
harsh.
All right, so that's the number 10 slots. We are moving on to number 9.
Niner!
So number 9.
999.
Andy, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is Brightburn.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just think it was a very, very unique story. Not that, superhero origins are, unique, but in this case it was because he's just a nasty little shit in this movie. Basically, I'm kind of like within the same ilk of Lex Luthor, the way that he looks at Superman. He's just like, basically, we've got an alien that comes down with superhuman powers, and we're just supposed to trust him right off the bat, and just assume that he's going to be a good guy. No, not really. And in this case, you really can't trust this kid. But yeah, just the whole. I think when I said it, when I first saw it, I was like, this could be like the Homelander's origin story. From the boys, because I mean he's just that nasty of a kid. He starts to realize his abilities, and just it really questions nature versus nurture in this case, and nurturing did not help this kid. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't have a happy ending. And yeah, I just thought it was the story was so unique, and when the gore moments do, get there, I mean, he flies through a sheriff. I mean,
Yes.
and he hits and he fucking explodes. So I mean, yeah, it's on my list because it's the uniqueness of the story, and yeah, and it takes place in a small town, just out in the middle, it's a small town in Kansas, and yeah, I dug it, and it's just, I mean, it's pretty creepy, it's basically it's like Children of the Corn, only with like superpowers, and well, there's only one Child of the Corn, but yeah, I dug it. Brightburn's my number 9.
Brightburn is definitely showing up on my list later on. I love this movie a lot too, and I kind of went in probably already loving it because you hear the concept, and I heard a lot of other critics that have complained about this movie, being such a ripoff of the Superman story, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's what makes it odd. That makes me want to see it. I love the idea of like, fuck it, they don't care. They're just going to take the Superman story and make origin and make him evil instead. And I think that was brilliant of an idea. Now the critics would say like, but it didn't give us anything beyond that, and I disagree with that too. I felt like there was a lot going on in this movie. Yeah, and the gore was awesome, and just how scary it is to have that outrageous of a power level you could just literally vaporize.
Yeah, and
people.
putting it in the maturity level of a child is that this is what would happen. Kids are
They're
nothing
assholes.
can set them off. Yeah, little thing, they're hormonal. They're little nothing set them off like crazy. So yeah, absolutely, it's a terrifying thing. It's scarier to have a kid with that than an adult. And I really, really love this, and I love the idea that James Gunn has used his success to keep producing things like this. You know what I mean? Like he made one big Marvel movie and said, I want to use my power, my fame, my money to make things that probably would never have gotten made without this. Like this shouldn't exist because most studios and directors, especially like Marvel, as much as I love the Marvel films, they're terrified of making something this nasty and mean, and has a small budget and just gore, and it's ugly, but that's what I love about it, and it's great that he's using his resources to get that done, because that it's a risk, but I hope it's paying off for him, and I hope he keeps doing that. He's hiring his friends there's a little spoiler towards the end that it connects to another universe, and that's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
There are folks that want to see the flip side of the coin, especially folks like us,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's cool. I feel like this movie is more than just putting a twist on the Superman origin, but I feel like there's a lot of these modern day comic book movie tropes that this movie flips on, including what you just said, Tad, the whole little pre-credit or credit sequence teaser of like of an expanded universe with more evil versions of superheroes, including one from a pre-existing film.
Right, which would just be so damn cool. Like, just do it, James Gunn. You have the money. Make it happen.
Yet at the same time, somebody on the power level, and I'm gonna spoil it here, but somebody on the power level of Brightburn on the same evil supervillain team as Super, like what's he gonna do? What's he gonna contribute?
Right,
he's gonna do the laundry.
Yeah, he's on the other end of the spectrum where he's 100% human and
not even that good at being a vigilante crime fighter.
Yeah, not even good at being a human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jason, thoughts?
Oh, I love it too. It's definitely showing up on my list. It was great. And I'm with you on the critics. They just need to get over it and enjoy it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was an awesome movie, and the mom was incredible. She's always great.
I love her.
Elizabeth Banks.
That's
Banks,
it. Yeah, she's awesome.
And I'm blanking who the father was. I seriously can't even picture who the father was.
He's on lots of things.
Yeah.
The guy's eyes burned out. You can't see anything.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough.
Well, I think I did see some critics that were basically saying like this is basically like if Superman with whatever, and it's like, yeah, but that DC's not going to make that movie, So I'm glad somebody did. Somebody had the balls to do it, So it's like James Gunn has done so much for the anti-hero. I love it. This and Super, and even to an extent, he took what could have been a very tired, Marvel Cinematic Universe and injected a nice shot into it, which ended up sort of inspiring with Guardians of the Galaxy, and then we got to see Ragnarok, and it's really made Ant-Man like they took a risk with him, and he really made something different, and that sort of influenced that whole universe. And all hail James Gunn. So
I can't,
even though he didn't direct this, he made it possible.
Oh yeah, but it still feels like one of his films, though.
Right.
One of his outside of Hollywood films. It does. It does. I feel like share some of the same tones as like Super or
absolutely,
or Slither, and yeah, it feels like there's definitely a James Gunn stamp on the film. So
it shares a lot of the actors. I mean, Elizabeth Banks, and Rooker, and yeah.
I gotta say, my favorite part of this film, and I'm spoiling, but when the guy's like trying to start his truck and he sees like the nephew like hovering in the air, and he's just like, nope.
Yep. Yeah. Nope. It's that guy that plays Badger on Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I want to see him in more stuff. He's so good.
Yeah, it was a pretty low budget film too, and they did a really good job of using what money they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love when you have stories like that. It was so low budget that it didn't take much for it to be a success. So good for them. You know what I mean? Like, if I wish I had. I don't need billions of dollars. I just wish I had enough to like help produce things like this, because low budget. It doesn't need to make much. It's just cool that you can. They're doing this. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
It's a little movies that can. It looks like a big movie, but it's not. It's simple. It's a very simple movie. It's cool as hell.
Yep. Jason, what's your number 9?
Number 9. The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot.
Nice.
That's 2 character studies in a row for me. That's just the kind of movies I like. I remember watching this early in the year, and it was just I loved it. First of all, Sam Elliott deserves to be the lead in a movie. Mm-hmm. How awesome is that? And a nice little indie film. The concept is great. I mean, the title definitely makes me want to watch it. So, and then there's some other great stars in there: Aidan Turner and Ron Livingston and Larry Miller and. Yeah.
Ron Livingston, fellow Iowan.
That's right. That's our boy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Nice.
Was this Andy's 10 or was this his 11?
This was my 11.
Oh wait, that's a spoiler because that's after this.
Yeah.
But if you want to hear us talk more in depth about this, become a Patreon supporter and listen to our half-hour rant on this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This old guy, he gets hired by the government to help because he might have been the one who killed Hitler. Have to track down this thing that's Bigfoot to save the world.
What was the? They said that Bigfoot was like a threat to like humanity or something. There was something bigger.
Yeah, they thought that he was infected with a deadly disease.
Yeah, like a plague.
Like plague type stuff. That if he got out, then he could end up destroying the world. So they needed to send him in and make sure that he got nipped in the bud. And there's only one guy with this kind of mission.
And the beautiful thing is, I mean, he once he thinks, Sam Elliott's character thinks that he has Bigfoot right where he's wanted, he's got him wounded. He actually has a heart-to-heart with this, this beast. And he's just like, I didn't even want it to end like this. It's just like, wow. It's just like where you're actually, even though this whole scene just seems absurd, you're actually, it's pulling at your heartstrings. Just this whole, it's just so odd. I was just like, I didn't expect myself to feel this way about this movie. I mean, it's just, it's really damn good.
It's really damn good. And if you question its horrorness, there's definitely scenes at the end that get pretty fucking gory and bloody and badass. Fighting this Bigfoot.
And I of course will just love when you take a subject that should not even ever be made and turn it into play it serious, and and it worked, and it's great, and it's just wild that we live in a cool time where something like this can get made and made well.
Yeah.
When does the movie take place? Is this like shortly after World War II, or?
I want to say early 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's years and years after World War II, and he's an old man now. He was a young man, obviously.
Because I think he's driving like a Ford LTD, like a 78 or something like that. Just this big old sedan, but it's really well cared for and stuff like that.
Nice. Okay.
Why'd you stay away from this one, Mike?
Why did I?
Why? Why didn't you watch it?
I don't know. I started to, and I didn't get very far. I didn't give it too much of a chance, and I just got sidetracked, so. I'll give it a chance one of these days.
There's too many shiny things around the house.
Try it. So,
It never came to the theater. That's it. I got it.
Yeah. Tad,
Sorry.
what's your number 9?
Oh, I love this movie. I sort of was on the hinge of putting it on just because I feel bad when I put things on my list that others haven't seen yet. So because I feel like it's a one-person conversation, but I couldn't not put it on my list because I think you guys will enjoy the hell out of it because you're gonna have to watch it, and it is A24's In Fabric.
In Fabric. I knew it was gonna be it. I almost rented it last night. I just couldn't stay up any longer, and I know it's going to be on everyone's list.
Yeah, written and directed by Peter Strickland, who was not on my radar. I was listening to, I think I was listening to Shockwaves, they talked a bit about it, and I learned new stuff listening to their podcast. And I think this has been playing festivals for almost a couple of years, and it's finally, hitting. And I can sort of get it because this is a weird one for sure.
Yeah.
In short, it's about a killer dress.
But it looks so Italian drenched style.
Yes, it feels like Dario Argento, in his prime, directed a modern movie about a killer dress, and it's gonzo, but the score is gorgeous. All the actresses in the movie look like they were pulled straight out of Giallo movies. It's sort of cool. I did not expect the idea. I'm gonna be careful with spoilers because you guys will definitely want to see this one. But the story surprised me because from the trailer, it sort of seemed like we had this main sort of small cast and it would follow them. But it sort of not quite an anthology, but it follows the dress is sort of the main character and it follows its journey through several characters.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay.
Which is a cool concept. The idea that this dress, no matter what you do and what happens to it, it stays intact.
Is it kind of like Clown?
In a way, it's sort of not quite. It's played. Oh man, it's hard to even explain. It's definitely an artsy movie because it's done by A24, but it's not a slow art house movie by any means. It's almost, oh man, I guess I would say I don't even want to compare it to this because, but it's pretty well aware of what it is. It plays it straight though. There's not humor to it, but it takes a stupid concept and
Plays it serious and straight.
plays it serious and straight and like gorgeous. Like it's done well. Like the cinematography, the coloring is gorgeous. The performances are all great. Like so cool. Set in like during a busy winter in a department store and follows the cursed dress as it passes person to person. And like when you hear me talk about it, you're like, okay, that's fucking stupid. But I mean, there's also, I mean, if anybody can do it, like, you know, you see A24 and you just sort of know like they're gonna they wouldn't pick this up unless it was good. And they took a movie about a farting corpse played by Harry Potter, and it's like my favorite movie of the decade. You know, this one is just so damn cool. Like I was looking forward to it, and it finally hit streaming last week, and I had to watch it right when it went. Like the night it went on streaming, I think I watched the regular cut. There's an unrated version out too, but it's only like a minute longer, so I don't know the difference. This isn't full of gore or anything like crazy, but it's just drenched in colors and
style.
That's why it makes me think of style. That makes me think of the Italian movies because the music, the color palettes, the everything. And like I said, the actresses that work at the department store, they all work under their boss, who's this really creepy, skeezy sort of old dude that looks like he would be wearing black leather gloves and, you know, stabbing beautiful women. Very clearly inspired by, you know, Argento and that kind of stuff, but cool as hell, man. Like this is really, really cool. What a like I said, what a weird world we live in where you can make a killer dress movie, an art house film, and it's well done. So
I'm upset that I didn't get to this one. I totally forgot about it. I remember seeing the trailer a few months back, and you know, as soon as you started describing it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this trailer. And same thing. I thought it felt very Argento-ish, very Italian, very stylized, and the concept. Oh, I was sold, and like now I'm even more sold. So I'm definitely this is one I'm definitely going to go back and watch now.
I watched that trailer maybe 20 times. It's so good. And did I hear right? They said it might be coming to Shudder.
I think maybe, yeah. I think you might be right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it streaming on right now?
You can just rent it from Amazon and iTunes and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not streaming free anywhere yet, but you can rent it.
It's $6.99 on Amazon as of last night.
Yeah.
But it's out.
Oh man, I can't wait.
One of the strange or rare instances where A24 put something, they put it in theaters, I think on December 6th, limited, and then a week later put it to streaming. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 9, and I've got a few movies on here. It's like, do they belong?
That's 2 in a row you've grunted at when you.
Is it a horror movie? I don't know. It's on the fucking list, so I'm gonna say yeah. But my number 9 is Glass.
Ooh.
Hell yeah, M. Night, man. Fuck yeah.
I loved this movie way better than Jason because I'm a bigger M. Night fan.
That is not true at all.
I love Unbreakable and I loved Split, and so
how could it not?
This combo, how could it not?
1 + 1 = 2. It's twice as good.
It could have gone wrong, and I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like it did.
I think there are,
but I don't care because it delivered for me.
Yeah,
I got to see both those characters side by side and on screen. I got to see a fight. I saw some very interesting techniques in showing a fight scene. Like one of my favorite moments of the fight scene there in the parking lot is when we're not seeing what's going on in the parking lot. We're watching people getting tossed around inside the van as bodies are being thrown against the van. And I thought that was cool. It's like we're not actually seeing the punches being thrown. We're just seeing like the massive force, causing what these poor wimpy little humans to be tossed around inside this van. You know, I just don't know if people thought it was going to be something more epic, but it's M. Night. I didn't expect any like big, the Infinity Gauntlet to show up or anything like that. I'm more than happy with the fact that this big epic combination of M. Night movies doesn't get anywhere further than the parking lot. I thought it was cool that it ended up being on such a small scale, but at the end of it really wasn't on a small scale because Mr. Glass, still, won in my opinion. He was, because I had that moment too of like, okay, Mr. Glass is supposed to be smartest guy in the world, and like his plan just goes to poop instantly. But no, his plan succeeded, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't care what any of you say. I love it. My number 9 is Glass.
Oh, I heard Ted groan though.
I heard him groan too.
No, I'm glad. I've grown because I don't want to be the guy that's like, we've been on a roll like on this show where we've all agreed on a lot of stuff. And I did not hate this one. I want to be clear, like that the critics that just threw it away right away. I think expectation played a lot into my dislike for it. Because I loved Split so much, that one was so great, and I want maybe going into it after seeing that, I just want more of that character. So
yeah,
it was, I'm sure, very hard to try to get these 3 bigger than life characters into one movie. I mean, obviously you have Marvel doing all their Avengers movies and stuff, but like this is such unique characters, and trying to get them all into this movie, it didn't and maybe it felt like Bruce of now. I wish it would have been made when Bruce gave a shit.
That's true.
Sure felt like he still does. Like I was hoping this would break that routine of him phoning stuff in, and I felt like he was maybe slightly more awake but still asleep at the wheel. But I really did like the parts, with Sam Jackson and Ewan. That's who, right? Am I right?
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. They were fantastic, and I won't let him ruin the movie for me. But I just had different expectations going into it, and I'd like to sit down and watch it again without those now. Feeling that I didn't love it. If I watched it now, I think I would probably like it a little bit more, without those preconceived notions in my head of what I want out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Fair enough. Cool. All right, let's move on to number 8. Andy, what do you got for your number 8?
My number 8, and since I love me some slasher stuff. My number 8 is Haunt.
Yeah.
I feel like if the Funhouse Massacre hadn't have changed tones, I figured this is what they would have got out of it. I mean, this is the makeup and the special effects of this were really, really good. I mean, claw hammers kind of freak me out now. I don't want anyone. I mean, the stuff that he did with put it in the dude's jaw. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
oh my god.
And plus, it's like they when they go into this place and they see this girl getting murdered and they think it's part of the act. I'm just like, oh shit, that this like from the get go, okay, they're actually witnessing a girl getting murdered and they're not buying into it in the beginning. And of course, then they got the one guy that's leading them on, thinking that he's just like, oh, I just work here, blah, blah, blah. And just, yeah, dude, I really dug this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I thought it was, really, really well done. And yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean, there's not much I can say about it. I just like it. I think it's really, really good, and just for what it is, it's a good time.
I think the only thing that's keeping this off my list is that I am a little afraid that I love this movie so much because, and maybe it's a dumb reason, where Mike was saying like some of his stuff was personal. Like, as someone who absolutely is addicted to like haunted houses, we fly to Orlando every year for Halloween Horror Nights. Like, this was almost right up my alley, and then we got to see it with the writers and directors, who Jason and Mike both know. All that played into it, and I feel like maybe my over enthusiastic love for it might play a role in it. So I didn't want to. I don't know. That's, like I said, it might be a dumb reason to be like, well, maybe I love it more because of all these things, where it's not necessarily one of my. It's not so much a merit on the movie, but the experience of seeing it and what plays into it. Maybe, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
You don't want to come across as biased,
right? Yeah, and I know that I have a bias towards this. Like, it was set up as if it was like the perfect storm played together to make me love this movie, and it is fantastic. I love it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like including it in my top 10 would be because of my experience seeing it, which, if we had a top 10 experiences of the year, it would be right up there at the top, because it was a fun night.
Fun night.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see. My one thing about the movie I didn't love, and we discussed this I discussed it with Mike and Jason after we saw it, was when the characters are sort of revealed under the masks, to have like tattoos and spikes and whatever, like that they were actual like freaks. I sort of felt like sometimes less is more, and I would have just the mystery of not knowing who was under them would have been even creepier. Or if they would have been removed and they were just normal people that were fucking people up, maybe is even scarier.
I mean, they didn't need the masks. I mean,
right.
What's the point of the masks? if they're that fucking off-putting to begin with, what are you wearing a mask for, man? I mean, just use what you got, naturally.
Yeah, and that didn't work for me, but I mean, when we talked about this with Mike and Jason, they disagreed with me. So, Jason, what did you I want to hear...
I'm just trying to remember.
You were sort of saying like you didn't necessarily agree with that because it ramped it up when you took. I think I remember you saying something like when they took off the mask and they were even scarier under the mask. That's like a twist on its own.
Oh yeah, very not normal thing to expect to happen. I thought it was cool that their faces under the masks were the way they were because they earned those by being bad people. And so when you saw those faces, you're just like, oh, those guys are bad. They've done some bad things, and I liked it because I totally agree with what you're saying, Ted. Because normally less is more for sure, and they were so great. We didn't need necessarily to see what was under them because they were so good. They were such characters, even with the masks on. But I just thought it was it added an extra layer there that we totally don't normally get, and it wasn't just some guy. It was, I don't know. It was cool to see that. I don't know.
Like last year we had Hellfest, and I felt like this took that concept and did it so much better. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, like we had this last year, and I love these guys, and I was sort of hoping for something unique, and then I watched it, I'm like, oh, it's not outside of the haunted house concept. It is very different.
Yeah, and it was clearly set in the Midwest, and we all love going to haunted houses, and it really just felt so much like October, and the vibe of the whole movie was so awesome. It like the ramping up never stopped. It like just kept getting crazier and crazier and crazier.
And
it was
it's
a
so
hell
tight.
of a ride.
Like,
Yeah.
They didn't waste a second of film, which I truly appreciate. There's no filler. There's from the opening scene I loved. Right when we get introduced to these characters, I thought, oh, we're getting right into it. No fat on this movie, which I truly appreciate.
Yep. I agree. All right. Well, maybe we should move on. That's who's next. Me, number 8. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm embarrassed to say what my number 8 is. I can't even believe I actually put it on my list. This is crazy.
You still time to say it before you say it out loud to change it.
No, but I
shouldn't be embarrassed.
Well, once I say it, you'll know why. But I found myself just thinking about this movie a lot, and so much so that it earned itself a spot on my list. I talked more about this movie than probably the other ones. I don't know. I just can't believe it ended up on my list because it had everything working against it. And the movie is The Fanatic. Yeah, I know. I can't believe it.
Don't be embarrassed, man. Before you, I'll let you get into it. I just will say that going into it, I was hoping to watch it as a room, The Room, an experience where it's going to be
that.
This is going to suck so bad, I'm going to have a blast.
Yep.
And I was almost mad about how much I enjoyed it.
I know! Same. Completely the same. Because you see any footage and you see John Travolta's haircut and acting, you're like, oh my god, there is something, I can't believe this got made. And then with the Fred Durst writing and directing, you're like, this has all the ingredients of The Room times 10. There's just no way this can succeed.
Good. Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I couldn't believe it.
Devon Sawa was awesome in
Devon
this.
Sawa was awesome. So great to see him acting again, even if he was kind of a dick. But he was good. He was so great.
He was a good dick, yeah.
He was. I'm going to cut out that clip of audio just so you can...
He was a good dick.
But
Devon Sawa was a good dick.
But John Travolta as Moose... Okay, so I'll just read the thing real fast. A rabid film fan stalks his favorite action hero and destroys the star's life. He's just... I don't know if you guys seen the trailers or it's just crazy. John Travolta plays
us.
He plays us, but he's clearly mentally disabled.
Right.
It's the nice way to put it. He's clearly got problems.
He's on the spectrum. So.
Definitely on the spectrum. Which, right there, you're like, he's a not on a spectrum guy playing on a spectrum guy, and that could be incredibly offensive. And I'm sure it upset a lot of people. But he was...
Billy Bob Thornton did it.
I know, and I quite enjoyed John Travolta's performance.
He has.
I couldn't believe
chops,
it,
man. When you bring it out of him,
yeah. Oh, I've always liked him, but
me too.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe how great. And yes, of course, the character he's playing is us, super fans of the movies. He couldn't control himself, He just too excited and too. I don't know. And Fred Durst, what the hell? I couldn't believe it.
He could not resist, though, throwing in a fucking Limp Bizkit moment.
Oh, I know.
I really wish that one scene did not exist. It would have made it like that.
It really would have made it better.
Yeah.
To have any other song in there.
Yeah, anything. Just ignore it. Resist that urge, buddy.
Yep.
You did well. You just had to do it, though. You just had to be Fred Durst for that fucking 20 seconds.
He was Fred Durst. He Dursted it real bad right there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, gosh dang, man, I really, really had fun with this movie and maybe it's because the
bar was so low.
The bar was so low, and I expected such a different trash fire, and it ended up being pretty good. I was just it was shocking. I couldn't believe it.
When he walked in the room and he was wearing that Universal Monsters button-up shirt, and I'm like, where did he get that? Oh no, I cannot be wondering where Moose shops.
You did though. You totally did.
Yeah,
and it's his best shirt too. It's his best. There's
it's
only
his
one
best
like
shirt.
it. There's only one of a kind. It's one of a kind. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I like this movie. It just blows my mind, and it's free on Prime, so anyone can check it out. It's like I said, it's somewhat embarrassing, but
No, man, don't apologize.
I just can't believe it. Yep, Mike just made that face. He's back. The Fanatic. It's a movie about you, Mike. You should probably watch it.
And it's horror?
It is. It is.
Oh, for sure goes into it toward in the last part, the very end.
Oh my
is
God.
100% horror.
And then the way it fucking goes at the end, you're just like, wow, they really fucking went for it. I didn't
Yep.
expect it to be that not normal. It was, woo.
Who in the world would have thought that
Ah.
Glenn Danzig and Fred Durst would both put out horror movies, and
Fred
the
Durst.
one that's laughably bad would be Glenn Danzig? Well, that's not that big of a surprise, but who would have thought Fred Durst would have out-directed?
Oh, I can't. I would have lost the farm on that bet.
Yeah.
Oh, it was supposed to be The Room, and then it turned out to be pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. The Fanatic, that's mine.
Nice.
Crazy. Mike, what's your 8?
What's my 8?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
did we
I'm
skip
next.
Ted?
I was going to say,
I
Ted,
got
what's
excited.
yours?
I was excited
Okay.
to see you.
Mine is Jordan Peele's Us.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really like this one. I had high expectations going into it because of Get Out, which I think was right near the top of my list last year. It wasn't the top, but it was right up there.
Yep.
Or maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't remember. But this one is cool as hell. Like, now I'm looking at my list with In Fabric and Us next to each other, people wearing, like, red clothing, and I'm like, oh man, do I have like a thing? But this one was,
you have a thing.
It was really, I thought it was really cool. A lot of people had issues. A lot of people criticized this one a lot more than Get Out. I think, he set such a high bar with his debut, and that came out of nowhere. It's like sophomore slump. It's really, you have your whole life to make your first movie, and then you have a year to make your second one and live up to the first one. It's really hard. And
Yeah, because that's the bad thing, right? Especially
Right.
with Pranax, is that he had nowhere to go but down.
right. But I really liked it. I saw it in theaters. I thought, holy shit, Jordan Peele used Tim Heidecker in a movie, and he was awesome. And the performances were fantastic
Right.
of the tethered people. That was
Oh, yeah.
that was creepy as hell. Really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love the score. Love the music.
Yep.
The idea of it's creepy as hell. Just visually, this one I don't really have to go too much in depth into it. I just, when I saw it, I'm like, that was cool. Like if you think too much about it, you start finding a lot of holes in the story. You have a lot of questions about it, how it works. Clearly, he had a much bigger budget for this one with the success of Get Out, and I don't know if that's good or bad. I saw a lot of people sort of saying like, he used a lot more money to do a lot less of a movie. I think that's a unfair criticism,
Yeah.
but
Very unfair.
good for him, good for Jordan for doing original stuff. When when you have something that big and you are basically given the keys to do whatever the hell you want, and you go out and make a stylish horror movie about doppelgangers going after their versions of themselves. The scenes in the neighbor's house with the
Fuck.
NWA and all that stuff. That's
Yeah.
so damn cool, and the twins and all that. That whole sequence is dope as hell. Yeah, man. I mean, the theme to last year in horror in general is that that horrorized version of "I Got Five on It." That doop bloop bloop bloop. That it sticks in my mind. It's like spinning the entire every time I see Us, I think of that. So, yeah. Jordan Peele, keep doing good things, man.
Oh yeah, I'm totally a big Jordan Peele fan. Thanks to both of these movies, I loved this movie. I'm with you though. With if you think too hard on it, you could easily poke holes in it. I was going through that while watching it and just had to suspend a lot of disbelief.
Right.
I just part of me is like, I just wish he went for like more of a supernatural angle than like, you know,
that these people actually live underneath us. That would be absolutely impossible.
yeah, that their life trajectory is exactly the same as ours, yet it was some
Right.
kind of medical experiment or whatever it
Yeah.
was. It should have been like a supernatural thing, kind of like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, or just
Right.
this other plane of existence that's a parallel universe. Anyway, whatever. But it doesn't matter because the movie's still
Yeah.
awesome, really atmospheric, some cool.
Are you supposed to take it absolutely literally for what it's, you know? Like,
Well,
They play it pretty straight, like, you know, that
Yeah.
they go down and they're actually underneath us this entire time, and they're linking hands across the world, and
Yeah, playing Red
but it
Rover.
still feels very metaphorical and allegorical.
well, and you get that a lot with everything that he's doing, right?
And that's what I love about Jordan Peele is like he's got a voice and he's making big swings and he's trying. He's an author, you know, like.
and maybe that's one of the reasons I didn't love it. That's why it's at 8 instead of like in the top 5, because and maybe it's because I'm a fucking idiot, but I feel like Get Out, it was very clear what he was trying to say. It was right in your face, no beating around the bush, no hidden meanings, it was social commentary, right? Slapped you right in the face. Where this one, it's a little more hidden and
Yeah.
a little deeper, and you have to think about it a little bit more. And like I said, maybe it's because I'm a fucking idiot, and I'm like, he had a lot more to say. It felt like he had a lot more to say with his first movie, but maybe I'm just missing the subtext here. But that's okay. Not everything has to be
Yeah.
right in your face political either. But
No, and I'm glad it's not too.
yeah.
I dug this movie, but I got a problem with the ending. The
That's
sort
my favorite part.
it's
With
just
the
like,
switcheroo?
it's sort of that ha 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 Bruce Willis is a ghost sort of ending that okay,
What?
that worked.
Wait, what?
In Die Hard, Bruce Willis is a ghost.
Andy.
Yeah, well, you know
Spoiler.
what I'm saying. It's just like it's
The old Sixth Sense.
yeah, man.
so
It's
The old
Oh, yeah.
maybe it's even more on par with Friday 13th: A New Beginning, where it's like Roy, at the end, and you're like, that's not necessarily a good twist. It's just like bad storytelling on your end. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that's a weird way
Mike's
to go
trying
about
to
it.
consider any Friday 13th having a bad story.
Well, what I'm saying is that like when it's revealed at the end, when the first time
Right.
you watch in the beginning, it's revealed that it's Roy, and they show the face, and
pissed.
you go, "Who is that guy?" And they go, "Oh, it's that ambulance driver you saw for 12 seconds earlier." And it's like, no wonder I didn't find out the twist, because you did such a shitty job of telling the story. But I don't necessarily think that's linking it to us. And now I'm just rambling.
Well,
but
No, it's just like I guess I would have liked it a little bit better if it was just more straightforward. It's just like, to me, with that twist at the end, it's just like, okay, look how smart I am. Look how cute I can be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it, but I'm not in love with it either. I
think
really like.
you were the only human I know that didn't like Get Out. That's like always stuck in my mind. So
Oh,
Yeah, well, I didn't like it.
huh.
No, that's. I mean, it was great until I saw a teacup, because apparently this kid is so weak-willed. Every time silverware clangs, he goes into a trance. So
Clearly never been hypnotized. Come on, Andy.
yeah. Apparently he can't bust a table or stir iced tea. Yeah, he's.
look what I did.
Look what you did, Tad. You can't have anything nice.
Yeah, didn't like Get Out.
Did you like Us better?
I did like Us better.
Good. I'm glad.
And it's not like I hate Jordan Peele. No, that's not the case. I mean, I will give, I will sit through anything once. You know, I sat through fucking Clowntergeist. I think I can handle us.
Right.
I can't believe you just put Clowntergeist and
I
us in the
know.
same
What's
set.
happening?
Let's move on.
This podcast is off the rails.
Mike, what's your number 8?
Well, I still want to talk about one more thing with us, Jason.
What?
Can you explain
Oh, God. I'm not that smart either.
the social commentary in this? Because I think I'm confused. I thought I remembered it until just now, and I actually stopped and thought, it's like, wait, I don't know if I do get it. And it kind of also goes back to Andy not liking the ending, and what I think what I misinterpret the social commentary to be. But do you have an idea?
Oh, God.
Well, if you don't, that's fine. I just thought maybe you might.
I think it's there for sure. I think if you did some research and looked, there are
That
much
it's
smarter
what?
people would be able to clearly, eloquently say it better. But
The only thing one of the thoughts that I had on the social commentary side, and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong because I wouldn't think this would be his message, but with that ending the way it is, it leads to believe that that your environment does dictate who you turn out to be. Which I would think would be the total opposite of what he would want to be his message to be. Don't you think?
yeah,
Or I'm skating some
it's
thin ice right now.
thin ice.
All right.
We're all just quiet, like,
just-
this is better not to say anything.
All right. I'm good.
I just didn't like the fact that they were eating all those rabbits because I used to raise rabbits when I was a
Oh,
kid.
that's
so.
what it is.
Anyway, so okay, fine. My number 8 is It Chapter 2.
Hot damn.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
And I'm kind of shocked at first when I did the list, and then I'm like, whoa, I put it so low. Because I thought this was great.
Yeah.
I really, really, really loved Chapter 2. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was even better than the first one.
You're just trying to,
I'm
you're just
just
trying to
stirring it
start
up
shit
now.
now.
But I didn't like the first one,
Oh!
and
What's
I
wrong
like
with-
this one slightly more.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I like the first one better.
This one's great.
I'm not saying that, Bill Hader's performance was really good.
Oh yeah, he's the man. And
The
I love
casting.
some of that subtlety stuff too. With I know we talked about it when we talked about the movie on a previous episode, but just how the whole that he's gay, and he was in love with his friend, the one that died or whatever. And they don't come
Eddie.
right out and say it. Yeah, but you figure it out. I don't know. It's just, to me, both of these movies gave me everything I felt that the TV miniseries didn't. Like I said it from the moment they announced that they were doing these theatrical It movies, that it's like, now this is a remake that I can get behind, because as much as I do enjoy the original, it was held back by the fact that it was, low budget. It was TV money.
Made for TV, right?
Yeah, made for TV. So, you're not going to get half of what, graphic wise, that you can get from an R-rated film. This is commercial television even, so it's going to be neutered to heck. So, and I felt like both these movies really delivered for me on that aspect. So,
This one felt really, really long for me. I didn't. You guys did a whole episode on this with the movie Defenders, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was unfortunately unable to join, so I didn't get my 2 cents in. So here it is. No, I didn't love it, but I don't want to just like sit and shit on it because there was a lot of stuff I really did like about it. I was very clearly not an advocate for the first movie, and I gave this one a chance because I saw parts in the first one I liked, and I've already seen the first chapter. How could you not see the second chapter?
Right.
I like this one better. It felt a little dragged out, a little too long for me. The pacing felt really weird, but overall, I thought Bill Hader was awesome. Is it Jessica Chastain, right? She was awesome.
Yep.
They both gave great performances. Skarsgård is creepy as hell, even if I don't necessarily like the idea of making Pennywise sort of terrifying from the get-go. Because to me, it's like there's scenes, isn't there? There's like a scene where he's under the bleachers and the little girl goes and approaches him. I feel like even when he's smiling and not with things coming out of his head or neck or his eye wandering off, there's no fucking way any kid is going to walk up to a clown that looks. No way. Like, he looks like, Hot Topic clown from the beginning. Where at least with the Tommy Lee Wallace one, he looks like a clown until he turns evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one I am going into this from someone who's never read the book, or I think I started reading it when I was in like middle school, never finished it, and even if I did, I don't remember enough of it to. But the opening scene where the gay couple gets the shit beat out of him, and that just like bummed me out right from the get go, and that's probably, if that's in the book and they're it's like I saw a lot of people criticizing it for its anti-LGBT thing, and that's not at all what I'm going after. If it's in the book, and but it didn't seem to serve a purpose for me, so I don't know. But it had some really cool moments in it, and like I said, I absolutely loved the chemistry between the cast. It was really cool how you could, even if you just took a still picture of them sitting at that dinner when they meet back up, you could tell which person was playing the adult version of which kid without even saying a word. Like, they did such a good job of casting, and it was such a cool concept like that they could do that. I was reading about how they de-aged the kids because kids grow so fast. They had to make it look like they're sort of like what they did with the Irishman, and they de-aged the kids so that they looked like they did like 2 years ago when they shot the first one, and it's crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah, what's crazy is I didn't see any of that
Me neither.
while watching the movie.
When we
Blows my mind.
When we were on Movie Defenders, that's the first
Scott
Jason
was
and I
going on
learned about
it,
that
and
at
I'm
all.
like, what?
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yeah, that was news to me.
Crazy. I thought it was an amazing job of de-aging. I was convinced they shot the footage.
Yeah, I thought for sure they shot it just back to back with the first movie.
Yeah.
All the kid stuff.
So maybe we should all read less about stuff before we watch it.
Yeah.
Just so we don't see those things. I don't know.
It makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? Like, if these people that that looks so bad, the de-aging, if they didn't know about it before going into it, if they would have freaking...
That's what I thought about Scott when we were doing that episode. I'm like, because he had talked about reading about it before he went and saw it. And I'm like, I don't know if you would have saw it.
Yeah.
Like, that made you see it. You had to... There was no not seeing it because you knew.
Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different... This is a whole different podcast, because it's like... We watch movies so differently now.
Yeah.
We know everything about a movie before we go see it now.
True.
And I'm trying my damnedest to stop that now. I haven't seen, outside of the first initial like teaser Star Wars trailer, I haven't seen anything. Yeah. And I'm seeing the new on Thursday. And I've been a huge Star Wars fan. I'm just sick of like, I just want to feel magic of going to a movie not expecting anything. That's what's great about this episode, is that so many of these little indie ones, I see them on the list. I don't even want to read. Like, just asked Jason, what should I see? He's like, check this out. It's cool. Okay, I'm gonna watch it without seeing even a poster trailer, not knowing anything about
and
it.
I try to keep my description simple too.
You do, and it's so cool,
Less
like
is more,
to be able
yeah.
to just go into things like that, isn't it? It's like,
oh yeah,
that's so many of
Be
these movies
surprised.
surprise you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like seeing movies when you were a kid. You go in there with this sense of wonder, and then you go out, and then it's a completely different experience.
There
Or
are no
you turned on
bad movies
HBO
for
and
kids.
didn't have a choice. It was just what was playing on
Yeah.
TV.
Yep,
Exactly.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
everybody's number 8 then, right?
Yeah.
There's 8.
Sorry, I'm just getting a little sad now. The state of cinema today.
Oh,
But
Anyway.
we have so much access to cool stuff now too, though. There's a flip side to it.
There's
where
pro.
everything-
there's
we're
pros,
given
but-
access. Yeah,
yeah. I just wish people quit watching movies on phones and stuff like that. But that's not going to happen with today's youth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Scorsese says he's okay with people watching The Irishman on a large tablet.
That's just oh my gosh.
All right, moving on to number 7. Andy, what is your number 7?
My number 7, and I'm very glad that Tad suggested this to me. It is it is a Mexican film called Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. That's my number 7 also.
Oh,
nice.
Back to back.
Yeah, so we can just talk about it.
Yes, what a very, very unique story. It's about these kids that are being systematically, because their parents were killed by this cartel, and but they are granted. This one girl is granted 3 wishes, right, Tad?
Mm-hmm.
And one, she wants her mom back, which
Whoops.
it's the same old story. It's like, well, yes, but be careful what you wish for. And I don't want to give too much away. Have you guys? Is it just me and Tad that have seen this? Or?
I think we've all seen
We've
it.
all seen it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
Oh, good. And just it has really, really bummed out moments for me, like when there's a child that gets shot, and it's the youngest one.
fuck,
Of these.
man.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, you just want to freaking cry because
So
the kid.
heavy.
Well, for starters, the kid. It doesn't help that the kid is just absolutely fucking adorable to begin.
Yeah.
The most innocent.
Yeah, and yeah, and it's got really, really cute moments where where the paranormal stuff kicks in, and like his little tiger, is walking around. The
Oh,
kids
man.
play. I mean, it's just there's so much good stuff in this film. I don't want to say everything. Tad.
No, I absolutely agree. This played at Panic Fest like 2 years ago when I went with Jason and Mike, and we didn't go see it in the theater. And now I've seen it on
Kicking it,
Shudder. Yeah, it's streaming on Shudder. I'm kicking myself for not seeing it in the theater, but I did not know what to expect, and I sort of skipped it there, and then it was getting some rumblings, and it's amazing to me like something like this can play 2 years ago at a festival and not make its way. Did not make huge waves because, man, like I feel like, we all saw this and we all liked it, and it's weird to say you liked it because what a horrific reality. I mean, like we've said it already several times this episode, real life is more scary than anything you can write, and this one is absolutely there because I think me and Jason even talked about this one. Is it horror? And it's like, well, fuck, man. Like, if this isn't horror, what is?
It's the most real,
Yeah, and
pain.
it has some elements of fantasy, and they carry around the little tiger, and I'm not even. I fucking hate kids, but man, like, like
Yeah, me too.
You take kids that have their parents taken away from them and put them in an awful situation again. Like, how much what do these kids have to go through? And man, it's tough to watch sometimes. And like the scene you talked about earlier was just heart-wrenching. Like, I'd love to see like a kid get thrown in a wood chipper, but in a situation, it's just like, wow, heartbreaking, because it's like, he does not deserve this, man. Like this, it's tough, but it gave me the feels, which is a great thing. And as soon as I watched it, I wish Nikki would have watched it with me. And it's one of those ones that it's like you tell people about, and it's like, well, be ready for it to be heavy. Turn off your phone and just sit and watch it.
Yeah.
Don't let it play. It's not something you play in the background. It's something you definitely have to sit down and watch. But it is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So you liked it, Mike? Yeah. I thought it'd be too serious for you.
No, I liked it because it's got a lot of cool like fantasy imagery and whatnot, and the concept I really liked as well. It is maybe a little heavy for my taste as well. And as a parent, it's hard to watch that kind of stuff happen, with the kids and stuff. But was unique, and it there's some things that really stood out. So yeah, no, I liked it. Didn't make my top 10, but it was a good film. So so that's 2 people down. Jason, what's your number 7?
Oh shit! Oh, my number 7, Brightburn.
Nice,
loved it. So good. F the haters. It was awesome. I mean, like what everybody said. It was just I can't. We had just watched The Boys and had a freaking blast watching it.
Oh yeah, love The Boys.
So much fun watching The Boys.
Can't wait to season 2.
So it's it was cool. I mean, I'm not the comic book geek that Insane Mike is.
Nope.
Which by all very large and in charge comic book geek. So he knows about the dark side of comics. I just know pretty colorful tights and everybody wins at the end and Superman's the best. But so like
he is.
I just meant
he's saying
general.
That's the stereotype, like the
the
basics.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess I did. Preacher's one of the only comics I've actually read from beginning to end, but so I have seen the dark side of comics. So I don't know. After watching The Boys, it's like, oh man, how is there not more of like the bad stuff? Or like it's cool.
And that's the thing, though, too, because
even the villains in most of these mainstream comics aren't even nearly as evil as.
Do you know how many times DC has told stories where Superman has gone bad?
That's true.
Or evil versions of Superman.
Uh-huh.
But then it takes like James Gunn and some independent film to make a movie about it.
So it's out there. It's just...
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely to the extreme.
Right. Okay, yeah.
But...
Didn't Superman put his fist through like the Joker one time? Like just like literally put his arm through him.
That was for the first Injustice game. That was the plot line of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fisted Joker.
Oh
yeah.
Rated R. So it's great seeing the dark side, the not the character, the evil side of what could be. It's just it's very cool. Same with The Boys. Like what if they were just not the best people? Because
and
in
if
the
that
world
was
today, not
if
everyone,
superheroes were in reality, we would have our superheroes would be like The Boys or this Brightburn guy. And we haven't talked about The Mask. I really liked The Mask.
I love The Mask and the costume of this kid.
The little janky, half-sewn weirdo.
Yeah, it's
scarecrowish mask.
Creepy as shit.
Creepy as shit.
It really is.
I hope if they continue again, and they continue with this world and create their own little evil superhero franchise, that we'll see an adult version still wearing that same mask.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I just loved watching this kid unfold. Everyone knew where it was going. It was fun seeing how it was going to go and how bad it was going to get, and it was cool. I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
Brightburn.
I think the older he gets, the more pervy he's going to get and sneak into little girls' rooms, and
it's going to be in there.
I was pissed because apparently for Black Friday, Walfart was selling it on Blu-ray for $10.
Oh, yeah, special features.
Mm-hmm.
If only you weren't working
No shit, that's what
24/7
I'm
over that
saying.
weekend.
Anyway,
So we're up to you.
so my number 7, and I just the more we keep going, the more I just start feeling unsure of my list. I was so confident at the beginning.
I was sure this was your number one.
This should have.
I was sure of it.
The more I think about it, the more it should have been higher. 'Cause, oh God! And this is a movie that
I see.
Tad turned me on to this one.
Yeah.
This is your fault, Tad. And you described it exactly how I felt when I watched it, but you still could not have prepared me
Nope.
for the execution of the second half of the movie, even though you described it perfectly. And that is One Cut of the Dead.
Ooh,
So
Oh, yeah.
fucking good.
I freaking loved it.
It's awesome.
That whole second half when they reverse the angle and it's showing you how they made that first half. It's
Which
just
was
like,
the first half was amazing, even though
Yeah.
it wasn't the best movie, but as a one take little zombie, it was still fucking awesome.
yeah. But it was so
stand
And
alone.
then you think it was good.
Yeah.
Oh no, the second half.
second half
blows
puts
your
it
fucking
way
mind
over
hole.
the fucking top, man.
right?
See moments where like
You thought it was
the three of them are sitting there and having the most awkward conversation on the planet. And the makeup chairs, and you're like, what? And then when you see the other side of
Oh,
it,
my-
when the cue cards is like, improvise something, you
so
know?
good.
And it's like, and it all makes sense. Or when they all stop and they all look to the left, and you're like, what? You see, it's because somebody's showing them a cue card of like, we're not ready, or
It's
something.
so
like
smart.
That. Yeah.
You just couldn't have prepared for how smart it is. Mm-hmm. Gosh.
Well, see, like something like this. I mean, one, I will say that I am sort of like just sad that I put it on my list last year because, it would definitely still have made my list again this year, and I debated on if I could put it on my list again. But to me, like when we talked about The Dead Don't Die, like this is on the opposite end of the spectrum for me, where they did so much with so little, where that movie to me felt like they had so much and didn't do much with it. Where, this is like the flipped script on that, where like just took a
You couldn't have done any more with as little as they had.
Yeah, very cool. What a ride,
Oh my gosh.
It's a 1-2 punch with two different narratives, but the same story, and the way that they're able to do that just so seamlessly is just it's amazing.
It is.
Because there's no way they actually shot the second half while shooting the first half. Because at the credits, they show you
see-
again another perspective, the actual behind the scenes
of
of,
the first
shooting
take.
the first half.
To know what to do for the second half. Oh gosh. And it was so cool to see that though too. The
Yeah.
actual first half behind the scenes.
So I guess I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to give a little bit of synopsis. So the first half of the movie, it plays out like this extremely low budget zombie film, where these people are making this movie in this like abandoned warehouse thing or whatever,
some
and
TV thing.
turns out there's zombies that start attacking people, and it's not a huge cast, but the unique thing about the first act of this movie is that it's all one camera take. There's no cuts. It's all one camera angle following these three people while they try to survive and try to get out of
And
there.
it in itself is not it's ambitious. Like there's
Extremely ambitious.
still it alone is fucking cool.
There's
You're not just
There's gore
BSing
effects
with
going on where
with
arms
just
get
wide
ripped off
shots
and stuff.
You know, you're not just pulling. It's ambitious and really well done.
And then you're only like 20 minutes in the movie and credits roll, and you're like, what the what? And
Yeah, right.
and then it cuts to a much cleaner looking film stock. The image looks much better.
Kind of wide.
And it's this director who's getting hired to do this job to shoot this one-take zombie movie that's going to play live on Japanese television. and he's meeting his cast and crew and whatnot, and then building up to when they actually do it. And so they do the whole movie again, the whole first act again, but only this time from the perspective of the filmmakers and the camera people. And what's also really cool about this is like you're basically getting the same thing twice, but the second half there's so much going on, and I'm not just talking about like them making this, but like you get some character development out of the director, and out of his daughter.
Supposed to be the director, and
that's right. Yeah, he wasn't even originally supposed to.
And the daughter. Oh, the story.
Well, he wasn't supposed to be the actor. He was directing it,
right.
And he ended up having to be the actor who played the director in the first part of the movie. But you see an arc with him because he's just so meek and timid at the beginning of this, and then he's so take charge by the end of it, and then coming out, and you're all just when everything ended up working and everybody's so happy, and they do that pyramid crane shot at the end, which is like. I still don't know if that would have worked the way they did it, when you see the actual crane shot. But didn't care because it was like just so uplifting and everybody's so happy and it's a real good feel-good moment.
The arc with the kid, the storyline is so good.
With his daughter,
and
with his wife, is kind of crazy. And
So I have a question for everyone watching. Like when you sat down and started watching this, and it just kicked off, you were like, why is this highly regarded? Like, what is this? And then it took a little bit. Like, I want to. What was your thought process when you hit play and just started watching this?
I don't know if I can give a fair perspective on it because by that point you had already kind of told me what to expect, that it was going to do this flip at the end. But even still, at the beginning, I'm like, yeah, this is so. I mean, it's cool because it's one camera angle, it's one camera take, but it's pretty low budget. Some of the acting is kind of weird, and I didn't really know what to think at first. I'm like, this is being held in such high regard. I didn't quite get it at first, even though I knew. That there was something more to come with the second half, that maybe I would have given up on it sooner if I didn't know something more was coming. I don't know.
I was going to say I really didn't remember that there was more. It had been so long since we'd talked about it and Tad talked about it, and I again didn't look into it much. I just knew that I had to watch it. And I just kind of forgot that there was more than just the one take.
Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I had a lot of fun as a cinematographer myself, just watching the technical of like, oh man, look at them pull all this off, whether or not the acting and the story is great or not. But just the technical part, I was enjoying it.
Right.
But then, once it got done in the second half, oh man. Then it was even more exciting to watch from a technical filmmaker thing to see how they, as a filmmaker, I don't know. I think it makes it's easier for us to like it even more than maybe a normal guy off the street.
You may be right. Yeah.
But at the same time, if you do watch it, I mean, the movie's great because it inherently has such a frenetic pace that it's easy to just hang on and go for the ride, because it's this timed thing.
Doesn't stop,
and you gotta, and then clearly in the second half, all they're doing is panicking, for 50 minutes, and so you're just like, oh my god. They get there, but you're like, how are they going to get there? And then to see how it unfolds completely not how you expected, awesome.
It's hilarious because like everything that can go wrong goes wrong.
It really does, and you never would have thought.
Yeah,
you couldn't have.
Yet when you watch the first half, you're like, you think this is the way it's supposed to be, and that's what's cool because there's like so much
down
that they
to
had
the
to make
little,
up on the spot.
Yeah, down to the little like having to stop when they first walk in, having to stop that second time.
Oh, that's right.
All the little things that meant nothing and was weird in the first half, there were reasons for it. Even the stupidest little things. Oh, man.
I think one of the creepiest shots of the whole first part is when she's when she's hiding in that shed or whatever it was, and all you see is this zombie leg walk into frame, standing over top of her, and you're like, oh my god! And then it just limbers off, and you're like, whew. So first of all, the makeup was pretty cool. Kind of had an Italian look to it, this pale white with torn flesh on it. And then when you see the reverse, it's just they painted up a crew member's leg so he could go in there and show her a sign that says, grab the whatever what was it? Grab the hatchet when you leave. That's all. That was the whole point of that zombie being there. But it was such a creepy looking moment. It was such a creepy, suspenseful moment in the first half.
But it also just summarizes in a very crazy, fantastical way of what it's like being on a film set. Of like, you gotta make it work. You have to make your day. You have to make this work. So shit got fucked up. Now we got to rewrite it. It epitomizes all of being on a set. And so by the time it gets to the end of the movie, just that director and like them winning in such a challenging thing, it has so much heart to it. It just couldn't be denied. I can't believe it's your number 7.
I think again. I think I got.
Should be higher.
I think I overthought it and just was like, "Is this a horror film?" Because yes. It's a zombie movie. First half is purely horror zombie, but at the end of the day, is it?
Is it?
Because there's so much more to it than that.
It's definitely comedy.
Yeah, and the fact that the movie ends on such an uplifting, heart-filled moment, it's like that's not horror.
So, is there a reason why you asked that, Tad? The thoughts previous?
I just find that I'm just curious about that because like. When I saw this right before we recorded last year, and it was when it popped up when it wasn't supposed to on Prime, and at the time it wasn't known that it was assumed that they had uploaded it, and so I just flipped it on one morning and I had no fucking clue, and that was my reaction was like. When it started, I'm like, well, this is sort of cool, like that they're doing one shot, and this is like a low budget thing, but I don't. And then like when it started taking twists, I'm like, whoa, wait, what? And then it was another like, what? Oh, what? Like, and then I'm like, oh, this is fucking genius. And I'm like, oh man, like movie, like a group of guys who talk about movies that are all sort of in that world of making movies. This is gonna really just hit all the right spots for them. So
yeah, totally did.
I wish I could like put a camera on it and like just let watch you guys like watch it. Cause I just mic
reaction.
Yeah, just having a blast with this one. So
100%, and like my jaw, you would see my jaw hit the floor if you were filming me, and that is my jaw hitting the floor after I already knew you told me exactly how the second half was going to go.
Yeah,
you still just couldn't be prepared for the execution of it.
So smart. Gosh dang.
Okay, cool.
Did you have something you wanted to add about this one, Andy?
What can I say hasn't already been said, man? I was very, very impressed. Normally, like when I see a tone change like that, I'm just like, okay, what, are we gonna go like normally, they're like rewinding, okay, it's just like, okay, this is what happened beforehand, it's just like, okay, well, what my mind just goes to like, okay, what could they really say? Who cares what happened what happened just before, and I was just like, oh shit, it's a film crew, it's just like, okay, this is what they were doing, and then just like Ted said, I was like, oh my god, this is genius. They're showing us how they did it, and they're walking us through. I mean, it's just like essentially as a viewer, you get to be a part of the crew.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've ever really experienced that, like as a viewer, and I'm just like, holy shit. I'm drawn in. In that moment, I am going nowhere. and that's the mark of a good movie, regardless of what genre it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's just like this is a great friggin' movie, and you ranked it too low, Mike.
I totally. I'm not going to argue with you because I honestly don't think you're going to hear me talk nearly as passionate about the rest of my list as I have about this movie right now. I'm so excited to be talking about it.
I will say that these lists are really, really hard to put together for people who are so passionate about movies like us. And I will say, I assume you guys will agree that, these could all switch around by the minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can all change places. So by no means is one a solid spot on the list where it's so much better than the one below it, or vice versa. It's just these are our favorite movies of the year, and I almost wish they didn't have to have a number attached to them. So
yeah,
definitely
true. But with that said, let's move on to number 6.
Let's do that.
So, Andy, what is your number 6 film of 2019?
My number 6 is Doctor Sleep.
Me too.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
At number 6.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm loving this. This is awesome.
Wow. This movie really, really impressed me, and the reason why, and normally a lot of Stephen King stuff is really good, and I really like it, but there was one part of this movie that I just found so disturbing, and it's when they're cutting up that kid that's attached to the ground, and they're taking his essence or his steam out of him because he can shine, and I'm just like, oh man, just stop. I mean,
brutal.
I because like the kid is crying and he's a 10-year-old boy, and I'm like, God damn, you people are sick.
So what you're saying is, like, as long as you brutally kill some children, they're going to end up on Andy's favorite movie list.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what that means.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the first time that I mean, I've seen it happen in other movies, but I guess it wasn't expecting it from a Stephen King movie. I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess they do it in in It, and kids die in that and such, but in this case, this particular scene, because it was so drug out, because they want to because I guess the fear. When he's scared, the steam tastes better or something like that, or it's more potent or something, whatever. And so they're prolonging it, and they're just, they're torturing this kid. I'm like, oh my God, damn, it's, but I really love the story, seeing Danny, and of course they go back to the Overlook, which is totally awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And, hearing how he, communicates with, the girl, and, just how they're able to just, kill the rest of these, this clan of people that are feeding off of
soul vampires, basically.
Yeah, essentially. My only complaint is this: I wish we knew like the what do they call him, like the Black Crow or whatever, or
Crow Daddy.
It's something along those lines. They all had like these special names and all this and that, and like what was the Andy chick? I can't remember.
Snakebite Andy.
Yeah, Snakebite Andy, and they all had. I wish we could have learned a little bit more.
Sure.
Like, a little bit more character development in the rest of the crew, because they all had names and they all had special attributes. I wish we could have learned a little bit more about them and seen what they could do, because they all had, special talents. But, that doesn't kill the movie for me, obviously. But, yeah, I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. And Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts?
Blew me away, man. I did not read the book, and I'll be honest, like, I have one friend who's an avid Stephen King reader, and when this book came out, he was like, "Oh, it's a sequel to The Shining with some vampires in it, and Danny as an adult," and I'm like, that doesn't sound like anything I would at all am into. And then the trailer came out, and it was like sort of the trailer blew people's minds because it connected to Kubrick's movie, which
Didn't expect that.
Good on Flanagan. Like, what a brave, a sort of a crazy move, because it's very well known that Stephen King is not a fan of that adaptation.
Yep.
And here we go about, like, knowing so much about movies. I read about this one afterwards, but hearing how he sort of got it done, and basically went to Stephen King and said, "Look, like, I want to adapt this one, but I want to connect it to Kubrick's universe." And right away, Stephen King was like, "Nope." Of course he's going to say no. And he's like, "Well, let me show you how I would do that." And he did such a good job of taking the two universes and splicing them together that he convinced Stephen King to say, "Okay, that I want to see that." And I'm so glad he did, because what a great movie. I was a little apprehensive about saying how much I loved it, just because I was afraid it was simply my love for The Shining, but it's not, because he does things that normally I would absolutely hate, like recasting these big roles, but he does it so well. And it's not even about, for me, it's like, when I'm watching it, it's not even about, like, it's clear that they're different actors, but it's so set in that world. And even outside of going back to the hotel, it's just, these characters are really cool. All the performances are so strong that it's its own thing. And what is it, Rose the Hat? Is that what they call her?
Rose the Hat.
Yeah, when I sort of saw her, I thought I would not care for the character. I mean,
how great was she?
She was fantastic, really cool, and and I love the back and forth between her and Abra. Even across, like, the scene where she's at the grocery store and she throws her into the coolers, like, that's really fucking rad. And I didn't really think about what Andy was saying with the character's backstory. I never even thought about how cool it would be to learn a little bit more about them, which it would be. It was heartbreaking when Danny's new friend, who's driving across the country for him, that hasn't known him much, and he's digging up dead kids and stuff. I hated seeing him go, but he had to. I guess that's a good thing, because it was like, they really developed that character, made you sympathize with him before they did that, and it gave you the feels. But yeah, cool movie, cool idea. It's very rare that you can take something as big as The Shining and not only successfully write a book, but then adapt that book into a sequel movie and combine it, like, take a risk and combine it and make it a sequel to an adaptation. It's like all the things that shouldn't work, and they put it together, and they did a damn good job. So props to Flanagan for pulling off the impossible.
Yeah, how great were those recreated scenes? Fucking flawlessly amazing.
Man, what a fun playground for him too.
Oh,
it took a fan to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah,
and that's one of the things I loved about it. I mean, I think Mike Flanagan did one of the best things from last year with the house on, or the haunting Hill House.
Hill House.
Yes, and I loved it because I like The Shining as much as the next guy, and like, this was nothing like The Shining. It had all the elements and stuff, but it was such a different thing. It was,
right? Yeah.
It was amazing, because when I saw the first trailer, it was just like, I didn't know anything about the books, so I see Ewan McGregor, and I'm like, that's fucking Danny Torrance. Oh my god, this is so cool. And then just the thought of that is amazing, and how he grew up, and then it's totally a different kind of movie. Yeah, he's just running from these soul vampires, and but then the way it ties in and the way he uses his powers and locks things up was so great, and to work. Oh man, I liked it. Yeah, it was cool.
I haven't seen it.
I know.
I missed it at the theater, damn it. I suck. I was just thinking, though,
It's a good one.
Listening to you guys talk, it's interesting. There's, 3 Stephen King adaptations out this year?
Oh.
It's interesting.
Only 3, huh?
Well, it's more than what we've gotten in the past couple decades.
That's true. In the Tall Grass, what's the other one?
It Chapter 2.
Oh, It Chapter 2, yeah. Awesome.
So that's both you and Andy's number 6. So Tad, what's your number 6?
I'm going into another one that I think I'm hoping that everybody is. It might be even higher on everybody else's list, but Crawl.
Nice.
So good.
Yeah, this one. There's not a whole lot to explain. A girl goes to save her dad during a hurricane, finds herself trapped in a house with some gators. It's that simple, and that's what I like about it.
That's
It's
what I
really-
love about it.
Yeah, you turn off your brain for an hour and a half and watch a girl try to get out of a house that has some fucking alligators in it. Like, what more do you need? Sometimes it's as simple as that. Like, it is the opposite of a movie like In Fabric or Starfish, or it's the opposite of that, and that's okay. Like, I love both ends of the spectrum. This one, to me, is like the way you guys described, and it falls in that category of like Brightburn, where it's just there and it's like beginning to end, a nice punch, and doesn't let up, and it doesn't try to be more than what it is. It's a gator movie. And they didn't kill the dog, so I'm totally on it.
Yeah.
I did not see this one.
Oh, yeah, it's just it's like you said, it's a pure adrenaline ride for an hour and a half. It's just so suspenseful and intense the whole time, doesn't let up. It's just a thrill a minute, and I'm always a huge fan of simplistic stories. Let's just strip out all ton of plot and ton of characters and whatnot, and just really about 2 people and a dog trying to survive this hurricane.
Right, it's
with
just
gators coming after
It's
them.
just an 80s animal attack film.
Yeah,
but
even
new and
it's still
Like
similar to
Eaten
that.
Alive?
probably more.
Well, there's way more gator in it than Eaten Alive.
Yeah.
And Alexander Aja back.
He needs
He's
to
back
make
in full
more
form, man.
movies.
He
Oh,
does.
So happy to have him back.
It's been a while since he's directed something, and I'm really excited he's directed something that's not like a remake or an adaptation of something else. It's
Yeah.
been way too long. Okay, yes, he
Horns.
Horns
Ron
was
3D.
2013. But then there was something. What's that? The ninth life of Louis Drax. Never even heard of that. That was 2016. So and then Crawl in 2019. So it had been a while. And yeah, he's definitely a guy that needs a much bigger filmography. Because I haven't seen everything, but everything I have seen is freaking great. So
Yeah.
he's definitely one of those more current filmmakers that I love. And he delivered the goods on this one, just like his other stuff. So
good to see Barry Pepper back in action too.
that was also I was gonna say yes.
Yeah, he doesn't do enough. He was awesome.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, couldn't agree with you more. You may hear crawl onto my list
you're gonna
later
hear
on.
it.
And just before we move on a side note, I think this sort of falls in the same category. Me and Jason, I think, were the only 2 that watched this other movie that's in the same boathouse called The Pool.
Mike saw it.
I finally watched it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not. I guess I shouldn't ask if it's on anyone's list because it might spoil, but I don't imagine it would be above
It's not.
Crawl on anyone's list. But if you're a fan of Crawl, this might be something to be interested in. A much more absurd idea where someone gets stuck in an Olympic-sized pool with a gator and an injured girl or fiance or girlfriend. Pretty ridiculous, but
with some gator action. I'll tell you what, I've talked more about the pool than I've probably talked about any other movie.
Yeah.
of
You do have a
2019.
huge boner for the pool.
No, I don't. But it's so goddamn ridiculous, and it's just insane, and it's so talk aboutable.
yeah.
You know, like.
It's definitely not on anybody's list, so we
No.
can definitely feel free to talk about it now.
And
but-
I was secretly I'm like, at the end of this, I know it's not coming up, but I'm going to somehow get the pool into
It's
this
got-
show.
exactly. It had to get brought up at some point.
It's so crazy.
I didn't watch it for nothing.
And I wouldn't put it on my honorable mentions, but I mean,
No.
you had to mention it during Crawl because it's
That's a good
obviously
point.
two gators and two absurd
Stuck in
ideas.
a
It's
thing.
just one's executed quite a bit better, but but it was fun though. I mean, that
It
one was
was.
another one that didn't let up. Like
It did not let up.
It did not let up not necessarily
way.
in a good way. Because I told Jason tonight when I told him I watched it, I told him tonight, I'm like, this guy could not catch a break. He's got the
most-
worst luck on the planet.
Ever.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in suspense. I was getting pissed off. I'm like, seriously? You're this
How's
stupid?
it going to fuck up this time? How he's going to get so close and nope.
The moment for me,
it ends up in the
Over
other
and
pool.
over.
Like, oh fuck.
the moment for me is when he goes down to stuff his sweater in the drain.
Oh,
like,
the
that's gonna
pizza
stop
guy?
it. And the pizza guy shows up, and he just so happens to get his chain stuck in the grate, and he can't get out.
It's
In
so
time for
fucked.
the pizza guy before he
And
drives away.
he finally gets up, and the pizza guy starts his moped just at the same time as he's yelling help.
It's let's see
Which
how
made
many
me think of-
times shit can not work out for this guy in one movie.
Yeah. That scene made me think of Halloween 2 when like Laurie's crawling and they're going to the hospital. She's in the parking lot, and soon as they walk in the door, she finally musters up the breath to yell help.
Yeah, exactly.
Right when they get in the hospital, it's like so frustrating.
It's
but-
almost comical in this
Oh,
movie.
almost.
Oh, yeah.
Almost comical. But yeah, so the guy, he falls asleep on this raft in the middle of this Olympic-sized swimming pool. He's got his dog there. His dog is chained onto the
He's an actor that was shooting at this pool.
yeah, and they're draining the pool, and he wakes up at the point where the water's not drained yet, but he still can't reach the
It's
top.
drained
to
just
get-
enough.
just enough to where he can't reach. And then so we spend the first half of the movie of him trying to survive in this pool that's draining. And then the other half of this movie of him trying to survive in this
empty pool.
drained swimming pool with no way out. And then an alligator shows up.
It happens.
This like
and that's
this
what I love
glowing
about the
neon
movie is that
green.
it's like it knows how ridiculous it is, and it
It's
plays on that.
insane how crazy this movie is.
But I know why you like Crawl better than
Oh,
you
yeah.
like the pool, Tad. 'Cause
Yes.
the dog survives in Crawl.
Hey, spoilers.
Oh yeah, no.
Tad, I
as
can
soon
show
as
you the
that
text. Tad says, "Fuck this movie,"
Yep.
and I knew
Yeah.
right when it was.
Yeah, I mean, if Crawl would have even killed the dog, I still would have put it higher because there's no way they could have killed it in a worse possible fucking
No.
way. Jesus Christ, fuck
That-
off.
That
It
was
was
horrible.
Awful.
That was awful. That poor dog.
And
yeah, that
it's-
was worse than the kid dying in Tigers Are Not Afraid.
It probably was. But then it's a Japanese movie
Yeah, that's right.
also.
It's Asian.
Yeah, I
I'm
couldn't-
not exactly sure
Asian.
Japanese or.
And if you guys have a Roku or maybe Apple TV and stuff, there's a app called Midnight Pulp, and it's for free on there. But you could probably find it around.
And dude, you're right. That pulp has got
There's
some
some
amazing
stuff on there.
some cool stuff on there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just scrolling through Facebook. I don't even think I liked their page at the time. I think I do now, but the trailer for the pool pops up, and I'm like, that looks wild. What's this? I sat and watched the trailer.
was
I'm like,
cool.
where can I find this? And it was like free on this app I never heard of. I'm like, cool, download the app, watch it. And I'm like, no shit. Like, this just opened a whole new gate. Like, that's what we live in a cool time where there's just a fucking streaming app with all this cool stuff that I had never heard of. Like, awesome.
Yeah, It's got a lot of really cool. It's not like some of these Roku apps of like horror movies you've never heard of, but for good reason.
Right.
But this is actually got some really cool stuff you've never heard of. A lot of Asian stuff. There's like some Japanese anime. There's a whole bunch of like Jackie Chan films and some of the what are those movies called? The Pink films. God dang it!
Flamingo.
No.
Panther.
Moving on.
Okay. Midnight Pulp app. The Pool. Check it out.
Yeah.
Not on our lists.
We got to stop talking about it because we're about on the
See what
verge
I'm
of talking
saying?
about it more than the people who sponsor our show.
Oh, I know. Good call.
So that leaves me, the last of the number 6 here. And, man, I don't have too much more to add to it. So, not very exciting, suspenseful. But my number 6 is Us. Because I do really like this movie, even with its kind of logic flaws. I can enjoy movies by suspending disbelief, people.
Yeah,
So
try it.
It's called. Hey,
it's a movie.
Well, yeah, there's that. Suspension of disbelief, or dang it, I can't even remember the term anymore. Artistic.
License?
Artistic license of, it suits the story. It doesn't have to make sense.
Right. This isn't really happening in reality.
Yeah,
This is a story.
that's right. When spaceships blow up in space in Star Wars, they make noise, and you allow that to be okay. So,
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And Star Wars fans, they're all about things being okay.
exactly. Yeah, true. So yeah, but I don't know if I have too much else.
Which is
to
your
add
favorite
about Us.
doppelganger?
Oh man, was it the boy with the mask?
Who's
Yeah,
your favorite?
He was creepy as F.
I think the dad, like he's fucking big, burly
Root.
dude. So
Yeah.
his doppelganger's pretty damn terrifying. But the Tim Heidecker doppelganger is creepy too, just because Tim Heidecker is a weirdo.
I can't believe he was in such a serious movie.
Yeah,
It's so crazy. And he
when,
was good.
they had the Us house at Halloween Horror Nights, and they had that scene
Oh.
in like as one of the rooms, and that was really cool. Like you walked into the living room, and they had the balcony with the two dead twins, and then one of the scares I loved was like there was a doorway, and a guy that looked like Tim Heidecker stepped out, and then like jumped in your way, and then slicked back his hair, and I just love the idea that we live in a time where I can go to Universal Studios and see someone dressed as a Tim Heidecker character scaring me. Like, what a weird time to be alive, man. I love it.
Oh.
That was a cool house because they had like a room with the lead actress. I don't even want to try to butcher her name because I always get it wrong.
Lupita?
Yeah. And they had just a room where she stood with the scissors, and like there was bunnies everywhere, and like the house got a lot of criticism from the Horror Nights fans who aren't necessarily horror movie fans. They just like haunted houses because they're like, there's not a lot happening in this house. It's sort of boring and still, and that's what I loved about it was that it like every haunted house that at Horror Nights you go into, it's basically you're going through these rooms and people are jumping in your face and screaming and loud noises and everything. And this house was the opposite, where there was almost none of that, where it was all atmosphere, and that was a big change. And it was a risk, and I thought it was probably one of my favorites because of that, where I'm like, I'm usually not scared by jump scares anyways, so going through and seeing an accurate recreation of a movie I loved, doesn't get much better, so that's
cool.
my long extended review of the Us house at Halloween Horror Nights for no reason.
No, I love it though when you bring that stuff up. Makes me want to go really bad every year, but I never do.
Yeah. He noticed. He
He
tells
got
me
like
about it.
8 months. Yeah, he got like 8 months to save up, so.
So that's the thing. I don't even plan that far out when Weird Al comes to town.
It's pretty cool seeing Lupita in 2 films this year. Academy Award nominee.
Who, what?
and/or
Yeah.
winner.
Who'd you say?
Lupita.
Oh, okay. What was
She
the other
also,
movie?
Little Monsters.
Yeah.
Lady
Oh
Caroline.
yeah, duh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She was actually. This is how cool she is. One night at Halloween Horror Nights, she got into the overalls or
Costume, yeah.
coveralls.
No
and went to
shit.
the house and played herself. Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
That's
Yeah.
very, very cool of her to do that.
Yeah.
That makes me respect her even more.
And her performance in Us, man, with that voice, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, if horror was a little more respected, she could, get some awards.
Yeah, no doubt.
If only.
If only.
But it wouldn't be a horror film anymore. It'd be a thriller.
Okay.
Yep.
Psychological thriller.
I'm surprised she didn't get nominated for like a Golden Globe in comedy or some shit, because that's how it usually goes.
True. True.
It's like, well, it has Jordan Peele wrote it and has Tim Heidecker. It has to be a comedy.
So good. Oh, guys, we're only halfway through.
I know.
We're kind of running out of time.
That means this is gonna have to be continued.
Oh, I'm going to get an angry message from Derek. I know that.
Yeah, well, that's part of the new tradition of our year-ender is making it a two-parter because we have a lot to talk about.
That's right.
And I know all of us will feel thankful that it's a two-parter tomorrow at work. So
Yes, that's also
I know.
true.
Yeah.
I know, I'm already starting to drag.
Oh, man, this is what, 198? We're closing in on the 200.
200, we hopefully got some cool stuff planned.
Hopefully. And then
Hopefully
you laughed. That's great. That's really encouraging for all of us working hard on getting episode 200 ready.
I got
Great.
Jason figure something out.
some cool stuff planned.
There it is.
I just want it to be worthy of it being 200. It's
There's no
lack of
doubt in my
confidence.
mind. It's going to blow. It's going to be better than 1 through 199 together. That's
Wow.
too much. That's too much.
That's a one long episode.
Well, that too. It's going to be good. Trust me. I'm super excited for it. For
All
real.
right.
I really am.
Oh,
It's going to be a doozy.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Okay, so that is going to wrap it up. We didn't have any shout outs.
We did, but
You wanna save it for-
Yeah, we'll save it.
Okay.
Give people more time to, even though we're going to record tomorrow. Not a lot of people were. Anyway, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it
for the
big.
for the next. Okay.
Yep.
So we do have some shout outs. Those of you who contributed to the shout outs, don't worry. We're going to do that on the next episode when we do 5
Climax.
through 1. Our top 5 favorite movies of 2019. What's it going to be?
Oh man, I'm so excited! I can't wait to see what you guys have on your list.
I know.
Me
I
too.
can't-
It's like Christmas.
It is. Oh, like, what's it going to be?
So, yeah. So, thanks everybody out there for listening. Really means a lot. You guys supporting the show. Listening to us. Contributing to the shout outs, all that stuff. It really makes it all worthwhile. So thanks to everybody out there. And that concludes this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast, part 1 of the Attack of the Killer Podcast award show. Everybody have a good night. We'll talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer